That's my alarm telling me to take my pill.
Oh. Do
And
we need to?
it's gonna just keep going on and on and
Is it
on.
in your purse
And
here?
yes, and I've already
My
taken
sister-
the pill.
Yolanda, can you? Yeah.
And really and truly, this moment, see, I love God. God is so.
Come on. Come on.
Because right when you need something to actually sort of represent the message or the lesson or I'm good. I've already taken the pill. I should.
Okay. Do you want her to just move the purse? She brought the purse to you.
The purse is right here.
We do things by magic.
All right.
There we go. It's fine.
Okay, so now we got two things that we got to do real quick.
Okay.
Number one, so in terms of God, how God just walked in this moment is based upon our idea of how things are supposed to go. My alarm was not supposed to go off, and so now how do we handle that? Do we act like this is a really big problem? Do we,
Right.
My alarm went off, that's all. My alarm went off at a time that I didn't expect it to go off. I forgot about it, but really, is it a problem? Is that a problem? No. But we can hold it as a problem because it wasn't what we planned for, right?
Right.
And the thing that I wanted to say before you moved on was that, and I say this in the book, when you realize that whatever is going on in your life is just a reflection of a larger social condition, a larger social experience, you ain't in nothing by yourself. No matter what you are experiencing, no matter how, shameful it might feel, you ain't by yourself. There's thousands, there's tens of thousands of folks living your life. And so it's important for us to realize that we, in this human experience, our lives are reflecting where society is, what society is going through. And that makes it unnecessary and unhelpful for us to hold our lives as secret or shameful. It's a waste of time. It's a burden that we don't need. And it does not allow us to get up and move on so that we can make sure we don't leave the best of our life on the table.
So one of the lies that you expose in the book is that I caused this to happen. I must be a bad person. I must have done something wrong. I must have fallen out of it. Don't look at me like that. I'm telling you, because we walk around with that, and it wasn't until I was reading the book, I was like, but yes, I did cause it to happen. And you're telling me that that's one of the lies that I believe. And let me tell you, I don't just believe it, I know it. So when you're telling me this isn't true, my inner voice was saying, but I've been told this in Sunday school, that I can quickly fall out of favor. And that this must have been because I didn't do something right, or I wasn't good enough, or I didn't follow what I was supposed to follow, or I made a wrong turn. Oh, Lord, you were sending me down this path, and I just knew that this was the path I was supposed to be on, but this wouldn't have happened to me if I had fill in the blank.
Well, two things come to my mind. In the book, I actually share a model that you can at least see a lens through which you can see your life. And that model says that there are 3 selves inside of us. And I'm not going to go into detail about that. Why? Because you need to read the book. But it speaks to the surviving self, the thriving self, and the infinite self. And I'm telling you that your surviving self is talking to you from its nature. And it is full of worry, doubt, fear, shame, resistance, otherness, war. That's just how it rolls. And so being able to learn that surviving self, it's not that it has, it doesn't know that it has a negative point of view.
It doesn't, because the lie feels real. Like, it feels peaceful and calming because you've lived with it for so long that's why you think of it first, because it's a part of you.
And what you just said is so key. You live with it for so long. When you invest energy in something, anything, over and over and over, you empower it. And everything on this planet, everything wants to live, including that lie. And so that lie is now an entity, and it's like, oh, you're not gonna kill me. This is how we've done it for 20 years. This is how we gonna do it for another 20 years.
Right.
And so until we become aware that inside of us, there is a part of us that has decided that this is how it feels safe. Mm-hmm. This is how it feels known. This is how I know myself. You're not going to put me in an area of dis-ease and ask me to know myself in a different way, because this is how I know myself.
God doesn't make junk. It doesn't, like, we have to replace the old narratives with
God don't make junk. That's right.
The new affirming.
That's right. And the other thing that you were alluding to is, we're so quick. That part of self is so quick to create meaning out of everything. Just, he's standing over there in the door. That means. She bent down and picked up that means.
It's gotta mean something. And more importantly, I'm smart enough to know what it means.
No, absolutely. It means exactly what
said.
My mind is telling me. Even though my mind is diseased.
Right.
My mind is so used to being on the wrong track, but I'm certain that it knows exactly what that means. That's how crazy we are. But you want to know my definition of life and what's going on in your life and in my life and in life in general? I didn't hear anybody say no.
Oh, we thought that was implied. Yes, Auntie, we want to know. Yes.
Here it is. Life is a creative process, period. So you can put a period, full stop right there. Life is a creative process. The creative process is non-stop. So life is bumping into life, making more life, period.
And that statement is scary and freeing at the same time.
What does it mean to you?
So the full stop means I have to stop thinking for the comma and the extra. So that is the peaceful part that I have not learned how to do, but I'm going to do all my exercises because I have read the book. The scary part is that I have been looking through a blurred lens. And if it had not been for your years of seeking, and you reveal this in the book, of trying to, like, you recognize very early on how God would intervene in your life and how he would show up. And even when life happened, you recognize when the strange language would come, and it wasn't the truth, it wasn't the affirming language. You've surrounded yourself, you call your circle of 7, which is why we invited our book clubs out and our organizations. So we have members of Nu Lambda Omega here, we have No Ma'am Nation, we have our friends from the Hammond's House, we have the Ladies of Now, just because these are all circles of women who are affirming themselves each and every time they get together and gather. And we don't see a lot of that archetype on television either. Like, it's so many stories of mean girlfriends.
Oh my God.
That disguise
But there's so
themselves.
many stories of mean girlfriends in life. One of the lies that's not in that book is the lie that women really love and support one another. But that's a whole other book.
Right. That's part 2. But if you find the right ones, they will help you,
Yes.
like yours have helped you.
Yes.
And like these women help one another. And what I loved about understanding that the human condition is just the human condition.
Just
There's
life
no better
bumping
or
into
less.
life, creating more life.
It creates a level of compassion that I don't know that we allow for one another. You made the statement about people needing to be better than or worse than, like looking at, and again, I was reading your book and thinking the same thing, like, well, at least I don't have that problem. I'm better than that problem. I don't have that going on. And then, of course, you came and slapped me on the next page, which is fine, and said, stop thinking that, because there is no better or worse. It's just life. And the better me shows up compassionately for that person, as opposed to needing to feed my ego with, it's not me.
Needing to feed your surviving self
Surviving self.
that keeps you in the other than position, you know, me and them.
You talk about sacred torture. That's a mouthful. But it's true. It's the reoccurring memory that we always play over and over again, that shows up in different places and different styles of our life. Why did you call it the sacred torture?
It's sacred because we say, we feel the dis-ease of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, so many of our actions keep it in place. So it's like, I don't want this, but I ain't letting it go. I don't want this, but I ain't going nowhere. And the sacredness of the torture is, again, when you don't know how to rewire and let it go. And there's been no conversation culturally, and I'm not just talking about the African American culture, I'm talking about the human culture, or at least the American culture. I can't speak about other nations. But in America, we haven't learned how to rewire and let go and move on. And so we drag our stuff with us.
Right.
And have you ever awakened, been going through something and wake up in the morning and for 2 seconds, you're free. And then all of a sudden you're like, where
did it go?
Yeah.
Where does that go? Where is sorrow?
Yes. And as soon as it lights up and settles back in,
It's like, oh, okay.
yeah,
We're back.
yeah.
We're back.
Now
I have been going through that season, and I'm sure that everybody has those seasons. And again, when I thought my season was bad, I read yours, and it can be worse. You talk very transparently about your brother and about your father. And what I took from the revelation was the duality of people and our need to make an action make the person all bad. or an action make the person all good, when that's not even true for ourselves. But it's such an easy judgment to come to. And I don't know if you want to share about your
Sure.
brother, but
Sure. I will say that the book called The Little Book of Big Lies, A Journey into Inner Fitness, opens with the dedication to my brother who died of a drug overdose. We did using drugs when he was 11. The whole book is for my brother. Every page is for my brother. And it's for my brother in this way. I don't refer to my brother as a drug addict, and I don't refer to anyone who is addicted to drugs as a drug addict. Because underneath that challenge is a person who had an emotional challenge that was not properly processed. Period. And that's not to give anyone a hall pass for bad behavior. But the truth is, and if you really think about the people that you know that have taken that path, you'll know that what I'm saying is true. And what we have done, because of the surviving self, and because we really do want things to sort of be in this neat little package. So what we have done is, knowing that that person had certain challenges, knowing that there was unresolved stuff, we, for some reason, find them less than, and we're mad at them for not just being able to get over, and we take their choices for medicating themselves or managing whatever it is that they have, and we vilify them for that. And we never give compassion for what they have truly experienced. We have to stop doing that. And that doesn't mean we have to give bad behavior a hall pass. But we can't act like, they just woke up one day and decided that they were going to throw their lives away. That's not what happened. And we have to honor that for ourselves and make room. When we make room for that inside of ourselves, we will be able to make room for that in others.
And I also think when you made the statement that life just happens with the full stop, it allows for that type of compassion when things are happening to other people, even if we can't understand it. If we can't necessarily empathize with it, maybe we can muster some sympathy for it because life is showing up for them in a different way and they're responding in a different way. You mentioned in the book about sitting in discomfort. But why? Who wants to do that? Exactly. Which is why, our friends and relatives chose drugs. You see? But again, I love that you read this book to the degree that you did. I really appreciate that. Because two things. Number one is, when you can't have empathy for what someone else is going through, you have not truly been honest with yourself. Because if we are truly honest with ourselves, we may not be able to relate to their details. You might not be able to relate to my stage fright. That might not make any sense to you. My God, 5 years old, so what? Get over it. But if you take a beat and you allow yourself
to think about that thing that takes you out, that nobody knows about. The thing that you are managing in the ways that you manage it, that nobody knows about.
Right.
Then you can have compassion or empathy or understanding, or at least observe with a beat of no judgment, or a beat before you judge. Because we all are living the same life.
And that's what was comforting about you slapping me on each page, was that because I feel like I'm managing things really nicely, but of course I'm not, or I'm hiding things, but managing them inwardly in an awkward and quite crazy way. And what you did to restore or reaffirm me was, when you know yourself, you are empowered. When you accept yourself, you are invincible. And that makes the work worth doing.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, we just feel like we're broken messes.
Absolutely.
All over, which a hot mess all over the place.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But the part of being able to see the ugly.
Yes.
Or let me stop judging me.
Absolutely.
Watch me work, Tina.
Absolutely.
The things that I am not at my best about.
Yes.
Is
and you're not at your best about them because of ignorance, not yours, but our social ignorance.
and it's not at fault of me.
That's correct.
'Cause that's what you said in your book.
That's correct.
It is an opportunity for me to show up with all of me and grow and learn and encourage and empower everyone else. Did I do good?
Because I'm going to tell you this. Y'all think, and I hope that I don't, disturb your peace. But you have concluded, in fact, I'm going to ask one or two people to just tell me, what you think the most important thing is for you to do in a lifetime. Just one or two people.
Oh, I know your name, so I can call. I'm an educator by trade. I have no problem. Okay, yes.
Okay, love yourself.
Anyone else? Yes, Miss Gillen.
Enjoy it. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love both of those answers. And the way we show up, now check this out. The way we show up is that the most important thing there is to do is to get married. The most important thing there is to do is to get a good job, get that education, and oh Lord, try to get in that sorority. The most important thing there is to do is to have a big bank account. The most important thing there is to do is to have a better house and better kids and better everything than the person next to you. That's how we show up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you that we have one undeniable and unflinching purpose. And that purpose, you know how you've heard the saying that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree? Well, in this case, the tree is the universe. And the universe started as a tiny little prick in time. And everything that exists, all the galaxies, all of us, and everything that makes up this world that we know, has come from this tiny little prick that expanded. And if you are the DNA, the dust of the universe that has been here and has been evolving forever, then you have one ultimate responsibility, and that is to grow. And all of that other stuff, you're supposed to use that stuff to grow. And if we aren't growing, and I know you know this, you can feel the truth in your bones. If we are not growing, we are setting ourselves up for some kind of pain and discomfort. And what we have done up until now is we have tried to order everybody else out there to be managed in such a way that we are comfortable, so that though our issues don't have to be addressed, and we don't grow. But the problem with that is that you leave your best life unlived. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm just telling you something that you haven't wanted to be accountable to.
Come on. See, that's the hit. Y'all heard it? So you described your book, because Patrick Henry Bass is your editor.
Yes.
At HarperCollins. You said that he said this was a book that was unique in of itself, but you had a very unique way of coining this book.
Yes. I just yesterday was at a booksellers event, and they were talking about the people who had memoirs over here and mysteries over here, and all of the others. And my book is a how-to in the self-help arena, and there aren't a lot of how-tos in the self-help arena, because what I do in this book, because this is the book I wanted when I was trying to figure it out, because I knew I wanted to get to my best iteration of myself in this lifetime. And I was challenged with debilitating stage fright and other things, And so I wrote the book that I wanted to read, because when I went to church, and I love church, but when I went to church, and I could feel it, and I would know everything that the minister was saying, when I went home, I was still challenged with, and what does that look like in action? Nobody was talking to me about the very subtle things you have to do inside of yourself. We know about physical exercise, and we know about doing reps, and we know what we have to do to strengthen our stomach, and we know what we have to do, the choices we have to make if we want to diet and restructure our physical bodies. But what are the very actionable exercises, practices, ways of being inside of ourselves where nobody can see us, nobody can see what we're doing?
Right.
But what are the things that we need to be doing in order to walk away from the past and keep opening the doors of our potential and future? Nobody was telling me that. At the end of every chapter, first off, every chapter is written in a way that is so accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you need help, there's actual to-dos at the back. And the whole purpose is to begin to make those inner muscles as common a thought as we make our diet, our exercise, our consideration of, taking care of the physical body. We need to prioritize ourselves.
And the inner work takes work.
And the inner work takes work, and guess what? I feel all the solemnness in the room, like, but I'm gonna do an exercise, a really quick little thing, okay? All of this heaviness that you're feeling, I just want you to listen to this. You are amazing. You have so much to give. The very sight of you, the very presence of you makes a profound difference. You come with light that is indistinguishable. You have brilliance and beauty that is present and untapped. You are a miracle walking. You are full of possibility and hope, and ideas beyond what your brain has even begun to imagine. You, as God would say, ain't no junk. Does that feel better? That's what this book is really about. And we can stop being afraid of ourselves. We are so freaking afraid of ourselves that we're going to leave most of us on the table unexperienced. We are afraid of ourselves. That's like the boogeyman that we had to, sleep with the light on, only to discover years later that it didn't exist. We don't have to be afraid of ourselves, and we just need to learn that.
And we don't have to be afraid of this life, because this life is scary. But I think, and I'll just talk to me right now, I think I made it worse by thinking there was a finished and a done. Like, if I could just do this, then I'm done with that. And my life will be great, and it'll be wonderful, and it'll be beautiful, and I don't have to visit that anymore. Because I got over it. I won, and it's done. But when it shows up again.
And it will.
Stop, Tina.
Be prepared. Be prepared.
I feel so disappointed, but I shouldn't.
You feel disappointed because you created laws in the universe that don't exist.
That's what I did.
Yeah. You decided that this is how it is, this is how it works, and it's written in some
because
sort
God
of...
needs me to help him.
Yes, exactly.
That's what
Exactly. Exactly.
he's got all these other things down pat.
He cannot get it done without you.
Right, in my life,
Right.
I'll show you how I need this to be done. And that's the one thing that I love about the exercises, and there are things in there like from stop sign to stop sign, practice this, is that it helps you to understand and frame disappointment. Again, this is just life, but I am stronger than this that is happening at this moment. I've seen it before. I survived it before. And even if I didn't survive it, surely there was somebody in this great vast world that has survived it.
Lots of people.
So, as you said, what you told me was, if anyone has ever gotten over a challenge like this, so can I.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
the power of this book.
Absolutely.
It felt like, and I told Miss Lifford this when she was getting out the car. I read your book with a lot of doubt because we're inundated with self-help. We're inundated with, the 7 signs of this and the battlefield of the mind that, and all wonderful books, but no one stays with you through the process and shows you that this is going to be hard. Not impossible, because you've challenged and you've created a mindset for yourself that is contrary to how life works. So if we were all made with the, life is going to be this and don't worry about it and, easy peasy. But we had Sunday school that said this, and we had teachers that said that, and we had parents that said this. So we've got those dialogues going on in our head that are contrary to how
life is. And, which is so funny. We are telling ourselves all these lies, so many lies.
But they sound so true. Yes, I caused this to happen to me because I'm that powerful. And that's what I threw the book like 3 times. But that's like, I didn't understand how silly that sounded until you framed it, because I really did feel like I caused the rain to come today. I did. When the forecast came on and said it's expected to not just rain buckets on a Saturday, I was like, see now, if you had only said that you was gonna do, I bet the rain wouldn't have come. I bet it wouldn't have come. And I literally was having that conversation with myself, and then you showed up, and the sunshine did too, and it warmed up, and when I saw your face, it was like God saying, see, I got this.
Yeah, and what I don't know that you see in what you just said is that when we can take ownership of what's going wrong in this minute, that means that there's a habit of doing that throughout our lives.
Come on.
It ain't happening just right here in this minute. We're doing that all the time.
All the time. And it's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
To have to be in charge and control of everything.
Of everything.
And know that I am.
But
I know that I am. Like, I'm in charge of the whole thing.
And this is a good moment to go back to the statement that when you know yourself, you are empowered. When you accept yourself, you are invincible. May I share with you what that means to me? Okay?
They learn quick.
When I know myself, I don't have to live in the frame that any part of my life is shameful. When I know myself, there is nothing you can do or say that is going to hurt me beyond repair. When I know myself, as this little book talks about, because it's a capital S self, it ain't a small thing. When I know myself, I don't have to be worried that around some corner there's going to be some action or some experience that'll be so devastating that I can't get up. That's not going to happen. And life is going to bump into my life. My father, my brother, my dog died within 6 months of one another. My sister died, bestie, it wasn't a stroke, but just for this conversation, had a stroke, and our relationship was gone. Totally gone. And yet she lived for 4 more years. My sister died, best friend. I haven't missed her one day. She lives right here. Right here. You couldn't have told me that. Right? But I have opened myself up beyond the ways in which my mind has been conditioned by all of these fearful thoughts that we all have agreed to live with. It's time for us to make new agreements. And the first and foremost agreement is to agree to get to know yourself so much that that part of you that can never be hurt, harmed, or endangered, That's what the Bible says.
Mm.
That part that can never be hurt, harmed, or endangered is real. And we need to get to know that part, because that part is the one that can stand at the memorial of people that you love and be full of joy. When I started to catch the flip, to see in a different way, I was standing in my kitchen in some sort of pain around some habit connected to relationship. But I had been doing the work enough to know where I was. And so I literally was experiencing myself in the emotional leftover habit of the pain, but at the same time in the untouched, exhilarating state of knowing who I was. And I said, oh, God, this is hard, but I get it. I get it. I see it. I see it in a way I've never seen it before. I get it. But then I had to, give it that time it needed for the old pattern to give way to the new reality. There's joy here, y'all.
Yeah. That's all it is. That's all it is.
There's lots of joy to be experienced. And,
We can miss it if we're not present.
and I just have to say, there's all of these sayings, and I guess I'll have to memorize some of them. So, but put your big girl panties on. The bottom line is, it can be hard. So what?
That's it.
Yeah. But I don't know anything that isn't hard. Relationships are hard. Doing relationships well is hard. Doing relationships not well is even harder. And doing relationships when you know yourself is easier. It is. In the midst of being hard, it's easier. Exercise is hard. Caring about your diet and your health, it's hard work, because don't nobody want to do that. You just want to eat what you want to eat. Damn it. Right?
With an explanation.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if we let the idea that this is hard rule us, we're wimps. Because we have managed a whole lot. In fact, here's the rub. Here's the thing that is so funny. That thing that you've been dealing with, that don't nobody know the degree to which it disturbs your peace. That thing that makes you run and sometimes be so busy just so that you can get some distance from it. Whatever your thing is, doing the work is easier than that.
All right, period.
Full stop.
Full stop. Thank you for that. You first self-published this book.
I did. Is that crazy?
It is.
Okay, again, we got to talk about the fact that we're not in this all alone. So, first off, I have come to live my life in a very specific way. I do what won't leave me alone, right? So if something is
Right.
nudging me,
Right.
that's what I do. Because if I don't, it's going to nudge me, and just be a real nuisance. So I got to do what is nudging me. And this book was nudging me. I did not consider myself a writer. And this book, Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer, he and I walked for like 9 months together. It would be a pack of 23, him and I, and Rottweilers and pit bulls,
Wow.
period.
Wow.
And we would walk, and his control of those dogs was masterful. And I had a little chocolate pit bull, and Caesar told me, this dog, you were going to have to fight one day, because he thinks he's the leader. And until you put him in his place, in your pack, he's going to think he's the leader. And one day, in my playroom, I fought with this damn dog for almost 10 minutes, y'all. I was sweating bullets. I had a friend there, and she was like scared out of her mind, because he would try to run to the other end of the room, and I'd catch him and pin him the way Caesar had told me to do, and he, but I had to stay with him, because I knew if I didn't frickin' win,
Right.
I'd have to be his slave forever.
Come on.
It was exhausting, but I won. I won. And so, with regards to, I have no idea why I went off on that tangent.
Well, we were talking about self-publishing, things nudging you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And so this damn book was like chocolate. I mean, it brought me to tears, and I mean that literally. This little book, I wrote it 50 times, and I would get to the middle of it and say, this is, and you fill in the blank, and it wasn't good. Started with an S, ended with a T. Over and over and over again. So, the fact that it is here it's not a miracle, it's divine. Because something was making it right. And I self-published it in 2013 or 14, didn't know what I was doing. Spent all those years writing it, then self-published it, but didn't know a doggone thing about marketing it. Exactly, right? And in June of last year, I was in an influencers meeting, and the previous book was given away as part of the gift bags. And the woman who got this book, they all got the book, but the woman who became a champion of this book is a woman who showed up. It was my influencer. I was footing the bill to have these people here for me to talk about inner fitness. None of them know me. They all showed up late. This one showed up an hour late. And let me know that she really didn't want to be here, because now her girlfriend, who was supposed to be co-hosting it with me, wasn't there. But she showed up because her mama said she should come. This woman went home because she was going through stuff, and she read the book. And the things I was saying at the influencer meeting was making sense to her. So she went home and she read the book, and it helped her life. And unbeknownst to me, it impacted her so much that she gave it to her friend. He was going through something. It impacted him so much that he gave it to 5 other friends. What I did not know is that he was an editor over at HarperCollins. And the other 5 people that he gave it to were decision makers at HarperCollins. And so in June of 2018, I did an influencers event, and 2 weeks later, I had a book deal.
Look at God. Look at God. That's how that works.
And just today, I don't know that I'm going to be able to memorize it, but just today, one of my castmates, you know, because on set I'm really silly. I am. I'm annoyingly silly. I may seem serious here, but oh my God, I am just so annoying on set. And so, you know, I don't think well, they know that, you know, I have a deep side, but I don't think they know the degree to which I do. And so finally, this castmate started reading the book, and he called me all excited. And he said something like this. He said, "This book is an invitation to," it was so good, an invitation to accept who you are and all that is your life as it is without judgment, and the opportunity to become all that you can without fear.
Amazing. Look at your journey. How amazing is that? Would you write another?
I have a 2-book deal with HarperCollins. They expect me. I have no freaking clue what the second book is going to be.
We can give you material.
Yeah.
Me
yeah,
alone.
Yeah. I think I love that. I love that. I love that.
Would you like to read for us?
Really? You know, I think we've talked enough, really.
Or we can do questions.
Yeah, let's do questions.
Do we
Well, I mean,
have
what do
any
you
questions?
prefer? No, let's do questions. You read the book. That's the whole point. You read it. Right? But you can ask me questions.
We have 2 microphones if you want to come up, or if you can project.
Nobody wants to?
Oh, no.
Thank you.
There's always questions. They just need somebody to break the ice.
I can hear you.
So first of all, thank you for your time today and sharing your gift of wisdom. It is much appreciated.
Thank you.
And secondly, without even opening the book, but I plan to as soon as I get home, the cover, using the term lies, is a big deal. Because some people are so afraid of that word, and they don't recognize that even that's a lie. So my real question is, you use the term fitness instead of growth. I just heard you say that that's the responsibility. But what I would like to know is, what are some of the outer signs that you'll start to see? When you're physically working on the outside, you can see signs of progress. What are some of the signs you see for your?
That's a wonderful question. Okay, so you will begin to see yourself not have to engage in the old pattern. You will begin to see yourself watching your life like a movie and not having to be involved in each one of the dramas the way you have been in the past. You will see yourself begin to have an reaction and actually be able to choose a different path. You will see yourself be brighter and lighter when you would have normally been darker. You will see yourself be more curious, be more hopeful, be more naturally sort of self-affirming. Most importantly, you will see yourself see the patterns that you no longer want to empower, instead of them just automatically like a fog or like they're the cells in your body taking over you. You will have an objectivity, and in that objectivity, you will have choice. That's a fabulous question.
It was. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
And are those things worth seeing?
Yeah.
Good evening.
I don't know if it's on.
Okay, I'm close enough to project. For your younger readers, what would be the biggest lie that would need to be let go of on the younger side that could help you as you grow and mature on your journey?
That's a lovely question. I have to ask you, and I don't mean this in any sort of sarcastic way, do you represent the younger side?
I'm probably the older side of the younger side. I'm an older millennial.
Okay, so we all have unresolved stuff. And I think that part of the challenge that young people have, this book can service people in their 20s and older. If we're talking teenagers, maybe not, because there's not enough. You know, you really do think that you got it all covered up until 35.
Right.
33 things begin to like crack.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you mean I'm not as oh, you mean I actually might be like other people? Oh, you mean, you know, this and this is not enough? You know, 33 you start to crack. But even before you start to crack, there are insecurities and challenges that are present. And we as a culture need to understand how to frame that stuff. Period. No matter what age. Fair answer? Okay.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
When your phone went off earlier
Yeah.
for your medicine reminder,
Yes.
that's actually a practice I've put in place recently for myself
Okay.
because of something that happened about a month ago. What other practices do you have that you can share that's not in the book, just to help you have inner fitness as regarding anything career related, medical health? I have implemented technology to help me.
Yes. That's a beautiful question as well. So, and I love that you use the term technology, because again, when it comes to physical fitness, we are really using a lot of technology, and we're using a lot of, you know, information, and every other week, science is telling us something else. So we go from this diet to that diet and back to this diet, and you know, but the entire the entire world has like gotten on the physical fitness bandwagon, and there's lots of technology and information and so on and so forth. We're going to see that being the case more and more when it comes to the internal things. There are all kinds of modalities. You know, when the term inner fitness came to me, and the reason it is inner fitness is because it is the perfect parallel to physical fitness. And everything we know about physical fitness, we can now leverage when it comes to inner fitness, right? And so this is a uncovering of self that is going to keep happening. One of my favorite things that isn't actually detailed in the book, but the up until now and from this point forward that is talked about in the book actually is a form of this. And you did it. We can use this alarm this way, and it speaks to, you know, your question and my answer. It's time that we say, cancel, 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 to our automatic thoughts of the past. When you know it's time for you to move on from the old way that you have done things, and you find yourself doing them just because it's out of habit and pattern, you stop yourself and go, cancel, cancel, cancel. Now, that doesn't sound like a huge, you know, technological or a strategy, but what it does is it interrupts your automatic thinking.
You know what I liken that to in the book is if I'm hungry and I go to a fast food restaurant, do I get the salad or do I get the French fries? And it's that stop moment of choice that you have throughout your day.
Yeah.
So like I use technology to remind me, and this is going to sound terrible, but I use technology to remind me to drink water. Because I recognized throughout the day that I thought I was drinking 8 glasses of water, but I was not. And so in the same way that we use technology for medicine, it is having that moment of choice when like it's ringing now, having that moment of choice when you go to a restaurant to choose this better option for myself.
Absolutely.
Than this not
Absolutely.
as good option, which
Absolutely.
is what the thought process has to be. And what I loved about the parallel, and you'll see this in the book, is if we exercise for 30 minutes 3 times a day, 3 times a week, then we have to do that 30 minutes of inner reflective, inner thinking, inner thought to help build that muscle to be something different.
And that's not meditation. Meditation is wonderful. Meditation is a high pathway to transformation. But when you're driving to work, when you're at work and your coworker is working your nerves, when you are experiencing yourself going to 10, for whatever the reason, there's so many ways. Once you know, cancel, cancel, cancel. And once you have a clear vision of where you want to go, and once you, through the reading of the book, see your surviving self, anytime, here's a great shortcut. Anytime you see anything that is wanting to hold you hostage to your old way of being, you simply say, I see you. Because it's not used to being seen. I see you. I see what you're doing. I see how you're trying to make me. I see you. And when you see it, it can't own you.
There you go. Do we have another question? Yes, sir.
So again, I just want to echo the thanks for actually being here on a Saturday night and actually doing this work. It's part of your spiritual self, and I appreciate you sharing that. When you were talking about this idea of fear, and that those aspects of ourselves that we're scared to live our full life, right? It reminded me of the quote that I know through Nelson Mandela about our deepest fears that we are powerful beyond measure, not inadequate, but we're powerful
Every choice you're making.
Because you're more aware of it.
Yeah, what we don't realize is that the lives we're living right this moment, we have created with our reactions and our choices and the ways in which we've made whatever is happening the meaning that we have assigned to it. You'll be amazed. You talk about an exercise. You'll be amazed when you begin to just ask yourself, does that mean what you think it means? Just challenging your perception, your automatic default perceptions. Every single thought is creating something. It's either affirming what we already believe or making room for something new. Thank you.
When you know yourself, you are empowered. When you accept yourself, you are invincible. Miss Tina Lifford.
Thank you very much. Michelle, thank you so very much. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you for sitting in for this conversation. Thank you so much.